Hello and welcome to a very hyperbolic video. I'm going to just be talking endlessly about a single piece of art, a bit of theory, and a little bit of design, and why these things all seem to combine, at least in my fevered mind. So if you want to hear that, fantastic. If you don't, whatever. Let's go on with the basics of this. Alright, this piece of artwork features the White Scars. It is definitely the Primaris version, and it features a number of pieces of equipment, especially some old land speeders, some Thunderhawks. We have a Land Raider, because the Land Raider is just the greatest tank for Space Marines. I don't care what the stats say otherwise. And we have an Intercessor right stack in the middle with a bolt gun. It's not a bolt carbine. That's a stupid name. And it's an iconic piece of Warhammer equipment. So what is my theory? It's very simple. My theory has been, since the revamping of not only just the Indominus Terminators, with no changes effectively, even the Lightning Claws, I'll make the argument there, and the revamping of the Scouts with some additions, slight changes, but for the most part being what the classic units were. I believe that we are on the road for a tactical squad revamp for the new genre of Marines, and that it is going to have several knock-on effects when it comes to, well, not only the line, but more importantly, the overabundance of random intercessors. I don't think it is a controversial thing to say that dude with different rifle is not a very good way of distinguishing these units. And as time has gone on, they have become more desperate to make them different and kind of done goofier and goofier things. So the idea of taking all of that, retiring it to the Butterfly Ranch, aka Legends, and bringing out a single kit that can kind of replace it and air quote concentrate all those cells towards one kit is a good thing for not only your production, the design, but also rules, which I think is becoming a bit of a faff for a lot of people, if we're going to be honest. So let's start with the basics. We have a Intercessor Marine with a bolt gun. I'm not going to call it a bolt carbine. That's so freaking stupid. It is a completely superfluous thing for me to go, hey guys, this is proof that they're going back. But I think it does stand up with a number of other pieces of evidence towards the idea that they are going to move towards a tactical squad revamp, and the main weapon for those intercessors or tactical Marines, let's just call them what they're going to be called, is going to be the bolt gun, the most iconic Warhammer weapon for a gigantic amount of time for Warhammer. Where do I think this is going to take us? Well, there's just a number of intercessor units that effectively are just kind of pointless additions. If you can concentrate that down to a single unit, that's great for productions, rule writing, and lore. Plus, it's a lot less confusing for customers when you have to go, hey, this is the unit you get, that's your core infantry unit, then going, oh, well, you can get this guy, and they're different from those guys because of the weapon they got, and then we got the heavy intercessors, but it's not because they've been hidden the snack bar, it's just because they're wearing this boop-a-doop-a-doo armor, and they wear boop-a-doo. It gets pointless and stupid after a while. So, let's say I'm figuratively right. What does this mean for the line? Well, it means several things. One, that over time, I would say, let's say the next 3 editions, you're going to see 3 units, and they're going to be the ones that get retired first to set the groundwork. Those would be the Aggressor, the sumo suit looking guys, I think that's who they are. The dumb guys with the dome helmets carrying 2 heavy bolters because they're stupid and no one buys them. I'm sorry if you do. I don't mean to attack you, but not a lot of people do. And Reavers, another fairly unpopular, at least I don't ever see the damn guys, unit. I think those three will be the first to go into Legends, aka the Butterfly Ranch, as to kind of set the groundwork for Primaris units being taken out of production and pushed off to the side and slowly drained out of the system. Because honestly, you have Terminators. They're more iconic, people like them more, you know what I'm saying. Plus, you don't need the replacement Terminators who were less popular than the Terminators they were meant to replace or act as a substitution to, because you were pretending like you weren't replacing the former. Anyway, so what do I think will happen with that? Well, I believe in the next couple editions, you're going to see this tactical squad be brought forward. It will feature, I believe, bolt guns heavily, with a new special weapon, which will be the bolt rifle with its variations. AKA, it'll be a squad automatic weapon, or a SAW as we would call it in the military. And it makes perfect sense in that position. I made a video where I talked about this being actually kind of what they should have done in the first place. But what I think will happen is that will become a special weapon, or at least within that squad. You'll have bolt guns because they're iconic weapons, and effectively, the tactical squad will position itself as a replacement because it will be easier to go, just buy a tactical squad. Plus, you get a couple minor choices in it. You get a sergeant with his options. You get a single special weapon choice. You get a single heavy weapon choice. You have some flexibility. You reclaim an older look. Plus, you can put in mixes of armor from Mark 7, Mark 6, blah, 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 blah. And also, I just think if there's any firstborn stuff in there, they can better represent it with that kit. Oh, after that, if they actually do this, what will happen? Well, it's very simple. They will slowly begin taking the intercessor lines and taking the more extravagant versions of them and putting them slowly, after a number of editions, onto the Butterfly Ranch, and they will continue to do that as they move towards, well, a focus more largely on classic units. Yes, you might like the new 40k units. You might like the new Marines. But I believe they will probably up their sales if they cater to the idea that people who just don't like the new stuff can simply buy revamps of the older stuff and completely ignore the new stuff. Plus, we have to talk from a basic concept of design and production capacity. Having 7 different units that you are producing things for in a single faction that all do in effect the same thing, unless you have to come and you have to add stuff to them constantly to make them separate, is stupid. What you want is one line, you want one box, because one, from a marketing standpoint, it's a lot easier for a guy to pick a box of tacticals and go, buy this, instead of going, oh, well, we have this and this and this and this. It confuses the initial customer. You want to streamline that process. Second, from a production standpoint, when you have all of these units, you're juggling them. There's not a dedicated line to each one of them. That's imaginary. It never will happen, and I hate to break it to you. Also, the Tooth Fairy doesn't exist. But what you're doing is you're effectively going, okay, well, we need to simplify our production. We need to lighten the overhead. And also, this is a big reason when you're juggling so many kits that are constantly having things added to them, why there's so many things out of stock all the time. 3, when you have a design team that's trying to design for a million different factions and a million different freaking groups, when you have the most bloated units possible in one faction, you go, how we're going to have to make extra things up to make these units stand out from one another. And it's making, well, it's more page count, it's more design time, it's more consideration that they have to do. There's more images you have to do, there's more editing you have to do. It's going to cost more to print the books. Now, there's mitigating factors and all that, but these are just things to have to consider. If I'm going to pay a design team, it's a lot easier for them to design one thing than for 7. And I'm talking rules, not other elements. So ultimately, as we stare at this piece of art and I ramble on relentlessly, what I believe will happen is the line will have to come down. It will have to meet the production capacity of the company. It will be simplified, which means that it's going to be narrowed. And on top of it, it's about protecting legacy items and designs. If I can make sure that Mark 7, Mark 6, the Tacticus garbage, and all of those old weapons along with the new stuff are all going to be represented in a product, and I can do it in one product as opposed to 20, 7, 8, 10, however many, it's always going to be better if I can get it down to 1. The genius of the original Tactical Squad was it made Marines easy to understand. And as we've seen with 11th edition, good lord, they've had to go with more and more telling you and dictating to you what an army is, what it's made up with, what it's equipped with, and removed a lot of those options from you being able to make choices, because it's a lot harder the more there is to consider to make informed choices, and it's a lot harder for entry-level players to do that as well. So I believe the Tactical Squad will be the eventual death knell in terms of design for a lot of the Intercessors' superfluous, pointless extra units that should have long ago, if they were anything but something to temporarily pump money out of your wallet, they should have been a single kit in a lot of cases. A lot of it should have been united long ago. And I believe the Tactical Squad is going to do that. And it's going to completely eliminate a number of different products in terms of kits for Primaris Space Marines. Another term also that I believe will be going away in the near future. So let me know what you guys think. Do you guys agree? Do you think I'm wrong? Check out how Nobody Would Fix. He's got part 1 and 2, and they talk in a little bit of how I would have changed the lore, but more importantly, how I would have incorporated Primaris Marine concepts into the original Marines. So if you guys have a fantastic time, and if we never meet again, have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.